Before we talk about Meta Take One, I'd love to start by getting to know both of you. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little about your journey as filmmakers?
Ryan, go ahead.
All right, my name is Ryan Dutter, and I'm co-director of the film Take One. I've been in the film scene in Atlanta since about 2017. I got into filmmaking. I came to Atlanta for the music scene. I was into music production and composing music, and I ended up linking up with filmmakers. And filmmaking was something that I've always wanted to do. It was always in the back of my head, and Atlanta kind of brought it to the forefront for me. And here I am, and 9, 10 years later, still continuing pushing on.
John?
Yeah, for me, I always, storytelling was always a big thing. And I grew up in my childhood like daydreaming quite a bit. So once I kind of discovered like what filmmaking was, I was probably around 15 or actually 12, and just kind of learned about what it took to actually make a film, like to actually make videos early. So I started, writing and creating in high school, and then that bled into screenwriting in my later years. And I think just growing up in Atlanta, you just kind of community around you, you just want to display it. So I think I left school with like over 600 videos just creating about the city. And so, I think after school just met up with different filmmakers like Ryan, and we partnered up and just started creating. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Uh, how would you describe Meta Take One in your own words?
Uh, I would say Take One is a statement about the limitations most filmmakers have to confront in our system, and I would say it's about using delusion as like jet fuel to propel through those limitations in order to see your project made. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
John?
Same here. I think it's a roller coaster ride, through obsession, through the chaos of filmmaking, and like Ryan said, just like what it takes to see your vision through, but also like what it means to do anything to get the shot, and like what's behind that. And then also, you know, the people who it affects, the people around that. And it's a psychological crime thriller as well. So yeah, it's a crime film.
Great, guys. Thank you so much. Uh, you often describe yourself as guerrilla filmmakers, which is a term that immediately caught my attention. What does that label mean to you today? Is it simply about making films with limited resource, or has it evolved into a philosophy that shapes the way you approach cinema?
It's like it's a mix of like the will of wanting to make film with the again with meeting those limitations that trying to make a film in this system thrusts upon you when you don't have access to the resources or the network that a lot of people do in more privileged situations. um it's it's like a philosophy that it's like a post hoc philosophy. It's like this is what we had to do to make our films, and looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, we're guerrilla filmmakers, and most people would say I can't shoot that because I'll need a permit, and we're like, let's go shoot it. Most people say, I need a location, uh and I can't pay for a location. It's say, let's go try to steal the shot. Let's try to do what we can. So it really developed out of like necessity, and it has become like a post hoc like philosophy, in the sense that like we are going to have this mindset and apply this to like every project moving forward. But it really was just like a situation we found ourselves in where John and I were just two crazy motherfuckers willing to do what it takes to get the shot.
John?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I honestly think, we come from the school of like the pavement, like where we really learn how to make films from or to tell our stories just out of like necessity and the will and the obsession to actually tell our story. So, I came up, it was like there's a story on every street corner. Like I have a camera in my hands. Let's capture it. You know what I'm saying? Let's tell the story. And, I think like what Ryan said, it's just like, it's just the experience we live. Like Hollywood is so, the politics of it, the logistics of it, it doesn't correlate to who we are as storytellers. You know what I mean? It doesn't correlate to our experience of how we tell stories. So it's like we just have to tell our stories, and this is what we have to offer. So that is what guerrilla filmmaking is. It's not of Hollywood, it's of us, you know.
Great, thank you so much. That was a great answer. Uh, every filmmaker's shaped by the films they grow up watching. Looking back, who are the directors or in specific films that had the biggest influence on both of you? Were there any filmmakers who made you think, uh, this is what I want to do with my life?
I guess for me, I guess it's a little random, but I say Kurosawa, um probably probably Alfred Hitchcock, and then of course my boy Spike Lee, you know what I'm saying? And a little honorable mention to Steven Soderbergh, but I think with those directors, Kurosawa just had the vision and the epics and the dreams and just how he also showcased Japanese culture in that way is something I want to showcase, like Southern Black stories, but also that bleeds into like Spike Lee and his mood, the way he's not scared to make a independent film and a studio film. He would jump in and out in these specific stories. And then Alfred Hitchcock is like the icon, the way he moves the camera, the way he tells his stories, the way he relays information, the way his characters are often like trying to find, purpose in this world, like in this crazy dimension. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess for me, it would be at an early age. My mom would go out of town, and my dad would rent videos at Hollywood and say, "I'm gonna, show you all the films." I mean, everything he showed me was like Rio Bravo, Cool Hand Luke. Hitchcock was huge for me as a child, and yet the way Hitchcock conveys information. And I remember my dad when he showed me North by Northwest. I was like, "Hey, you got to show me the rest of this dude shit." And we saw Vertigo and Psycho. Uh,
Rear Window.
yeah, yeah. When my dad showed me North by Northwest, I was like, I want to watch the crop duster plane scene where Cary Grant has to dodge it. That like imprinted on my brain, and I was like, I really want to see the rest of this guy's film. So yeah, he showed me Psycho, Lifeboat, Rear Window, and the way Hitchcock conveys information, the way he keeps people in suspense, but also the way his lead characters aren't they're not necessarily good people. They're kind of fucked up inside. They kind of have this strange internal world, and they justify their behavior through the weirdest of explanations. But also, I guess early in my adult life, when I was living out on my own, I saw Eraserhead when I was like 19, and it blew me away. And I read the story behind it, how it took 7 years for him to make it, and I was really inspired. And then growing up on black and white film overall, like film noir, like Robert Siodmak, like The Killers, just the urgency of film noir and how it's about good characters doing bad things, or you're finding yourself identifying with bad people. Like watching that since I was a child, with my grandparents or with my father, and then that kind of imprinting it on my brain, and how they use the black and white lighting and the chiaroscuro to convey people's internal world also made like a huge imprint in my brain. So yeah, yeah.
Great, thank you so much, guys. Uh, building a career as an independent filmmaker is rarely a straightforward part. Before Meta Take One, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and were there any moments when you seriously questioned whether you could keep pursuing filmmaking?
Mm, um, I think for me, just the biggest realization was just like I don't have the same access as Hollywood does, or like some of, you know, some more privileged people are. For me, I remember I took a year off from school just because of financial reasons. And I had a camera in my hands and I was like, I don't have no NYU money, but I'm gonna look up the curriculum that the students learn from and recreate that. So it's like, I think just finding ways for, me and my community to like just, I feel like tell our stories because it's not, I'm kind of pragmatic in that way of like, I don't have those resources, so let me use the resources that are available to me. And it's just, I think it becomes like you start to see things and perceive things differently if you think about things from a different perspective of like I can create some great stories with what I have available. So, you know, yeah.
Right, Brian?
For me, it's like in 2017, like I decided this is what I want to do, and I just kind of pursued it, and it was always exciting, and I'm linking up with people who are excited. I wrote a script and I pass it around, and they're like, "Yo, I want to do this shit." So I mean, like the challenging parts were actually getting out there and shooting with no budget. Like we did a couple of short films, we did a featurette where we literally are just like feeding people, and but they were so excited to work on the project that they were just showing up. It's hard for me to like pinpoint a challenge just because like I've been propelled by the excitement of filmmaking and just like the desire and obsession to want to keep making filmmaking, to where when we were making Meditate One, we didn't even expect the success it was going to have. Like I thought it was going to get into Back Alley Film Festival and Savannah, Georgia, or some shit. I didn't know it was going to do as well as it did, and we made it for the love of it. But I would say the most challenging thing we've experienced so far was self-financing a feature in Meditate One.
Mhm.
Like to pay the sound guy and be like, all right, can't pay the electric bill this month. All right, I got enough money to get my dog some food, but I guess I won't be eating this week. Like just the most challenging thing that we've confronted was self-financing this film, which there were moments where it was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm spending all of my money on this film. Of course, like you're starving, you can't pay your bills, but it was all worth it, and I wouldn't take anything back. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much, guys. Uh, Watching Meta Take One, I often feel like I wasn't simply watching a fictional filmmaker losing control. I felt like I was watching two real filmmakers processing years of their own struggles through cinema. The film feels so personal that it's difficult to separate John from the people who created him. How much of John's journey actually comes from your own experience, and were there moments where writing the film become almost therapeutic for you?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's in a multitude of ways. Like, I think the characters do harbor some form of like ambition that me and Ryan both have, and just the obsession of actually what it takes to make a film and see your vision through. But there's been plenty of moments in the past where, you know, me and Ryan have had to hit, shoot an abando or an abandoned building to like get our shot, or like we're driving in a erratic manner to get a sort of emotion or piece of the film that we need. And even with the process of Meditate One, there were so many moments of mistakes that kind of, became beautiful, pieces of the film. But I think, I would say just a lot of the journey of Meditate One felt like what John in the movie was going through over that course of the night, even though it took us, you know, 2 years. So yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
for uh for me, I think John and I definitely imbued the film with like a certain cynicism and anger about the system,
Mm.
and like, we're going to do this shit, you can't stop us, like, we're going to make this film, the limitations of the system aren't going to stop us. And we
Mhm.
definitely imbued it with that certain cynicism, but also, yeah, over the years of just like getting out there, telling people to do sketchy things just to get the shot, telling people just trust us, putting people in dangerous situations, putting ourselves in dangerous situations, like literally suffering to get our films made, definitely went into Meditate One. And then the process of making Meditate One, there was a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm, but there was definitely also a lot of moments where our judgment is clouded, where we're asking the people in the film to do certain things that aren't the safest. We didn't have safety coordinators. We didn't have a budget for a lot of stuff. Um, so as we were making the film, we were kind of putting the process of making Meditate One into the film. Like, we would, a week or two before we would shoot it, get another shoot together like a month or two later, and we'd be like, all right, let's rewrite this next scene. We put all our pain for making the film into that next scene. Yeah, so there's definitely a meta quality to making Meditate One, in the sense that we definitely put our delusion, but also like our suffering into it.
Mhm.
Great. Thanks so much, guys. Uh,
Mhm.
The opening sequence completely won me over. It begins like a robbery, suddenly turns into a film shoot, and then ends with an event that changed the entire story. What I love most is how naturally it introduced the film's humor, tension, and themes all within a few minutes. I'm curious, was that opening always part of the script from the beginning, or did it evolve as you developed the story?
Yeah, it was definitely there from the beginning. Like, again, John and I being Hitchcock fans, we wanted to play with the audience's expectations. We wanted to put the onus on the audience to kind of decipher what's happening. But then when it's evident that they're making a film, uh, John and I maybe didn't necessarily intend for it to be as funny as it was, but as we were developing it and writing the script, because we're funny dudes, like, we like to have fun and laugh, and it just kind of made its way into the script. But yeah, that was always like the intention, was like, we're going to set the tone for the rest of the film with this scene.
Yeah, and we wrote that in fall of 2019, and that was one of the very first ideas. I think it pretty much kept it consistent throughout the years of us developing it. And it was like we wanted to hit the audience with some misdirection. We wanted them to feel like it was a robbery, you know what I mean? And then we also wanted to instill this like film noir world of just like this black and white, like what are we doing? We are in this car, and then once they go into the story, it's like, okay, this is what we are. And then I think just like Ryan said, the comedy, the humor just kind of erupts out of our sensibilities. And then there's a lot of moments where just the actors just take it. EJ Ezero and Ernest Emmanuel Peoples do a fabulous job of like taking our words and elevating that to another level too. So we're very grateful to work with them. And that scene just made the whole process like, you know, once we shot that scene and edited that up, the process of the film just kind of, um, I guess the energy behind the film, everyone wanted to keep going. So yeah.
Great. Thanks so much, guys. Uh, After the accidental shooting, I expected John's priorities to change completely. Instead, what fascinated me was that his obsession with finishing the movie only became stronger. Even when everything around him is collapsing, he keeps thinking about the next scene he still needs to shoot. At what point did you decide that John's obsession, rather than crime itself, would become the emotional core of the film?
Well, early on, the idea was so John Dierre, co-director, his name is also John. Early on, the idea was to make a film about John's experience in Atlanta and a character based on him. And John was actually going to play John, the director, but within a couple months, he's like, "Man, I want to shoot this shit. I want to be behind the camera. I want to direct this shit." So it early on we knew we wanted to make a film about the filmmaking process, but it did become like as we were working on it, it did become like a reckoning with like why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we love filmmaking? Oh, because we're obsessed with this shit. Because we can't not do this. We have to make like this is a want that feels like a need. So now it's a desire. Like we have to make film. And early on, like just slowly as we're working on the film, our own obsession with filmmaking just became a bigger part of the script to where it was like, oh, this is what this is about.
Yeah, yeah. And just to add on to that, it's um like when the crime happened itself, and then our reckoning, and John as a director, his obsession with trying to make the film, I think the question started to erupt, like how does that affect the people around him? You know what I'm saying? How does that obsession like really kind of start to bleed into the people who literally helped him make the film, or who just revolve around his life? And I think we started to, as we progressed in the shooting, in the production of the film, because we had the spaces to rewrite further scenes, we started to kind of, you know, infuse these supporting characters with like Mark's and John's obsession of like, yo, this is messed up. Like, and it's kind of us also as creators questioning our relationship with obsession and filmmaking too. So yeah, yeah.
Great, thanks so much, guys. Uh, One of my favorite aspects of Meta Take One is that Atlanta never feels like a random backdrop. The neighborhoods, convenience stores, empty streets, and even the sense of community make the city feel like another character. The film gave me the impression that it simply couldn't exist anywhere else. How much did Atlanta shape this story, and how important was it for you to make a film that truly belongs to your city?
Hey man, I'm from Atlanta, man. So I think and I been shooting in Atlanta for the last like 15 years for real. So I think, and I love this city, and I think this city just has this energy to it that if you shoot in it, like it just becomes an additional character of your film. There's so many elements in our film that we didn't plan for, but because were shooting on that street at that particular time, Atlanta was doing this thing. MARTA buses were happening in the background. People were barbecuing in the background of the crystal scene. You know what I mean? It's like it's different, like it's different things that just Atlanta kind of breeds. And we shot on the east side of Atlanta. We shot at my parents' house on the south side of Atlanta. We shot downtown, and all of these aspects just like really these locations were speaking to us. Like, come shoot here, like shoot this scene here. Like, please. Like it just like nothing was happening at those times where that could obstruct us from shooting there at those particular times. So even the train scene in scene two, like me and Brian were like, as we were location scouting, we were like, if the train comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then on the very first shoot day, which is actually the coldest day of our shoot, the train ends up coming at a perfect time when we needed it. So it's just like that's Atlanta just kind of speaking back to us like, yes, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Like for me, being a transplant, like I came here in 2013 to A3C Fest, Atlanta, the DIY attitude, the hustle culture, like the music culture, it really appealed to me. And when I moved here in 2016, I was like, this is like this feels like home to me. Like I'm from New York originally, I moved to Florida, and Atlanta was like the first time since I was a jit that like I feel like this is my home. And linking up with people like John and just like being accepted by people in Atlanta and just kind of being adopted, like early on in the filmmaking process for me was like, I want to feature this city. This city has an energy that no city in America has. The city is a character. The city is domineering, but also beautiful. And I definitely wanted to include that in the film.
That was a great answer, guys. Thanks so much. Uh, The visual style immediately stood out to me. The black and white cinematography gives the film a classic noir atmosphere, but whenever someone inside the story starts filming, the image suddenly shifts into color 60 millimeter. I found that contrast fascinating because it almost feels like we're moving between reality and John's idealized version of cinema. What was the thinking behind those visual choices?
We knew early on we wanted the film to be in black and white, and that the film shots would be in color as a just as a metaphor for the world is a cold, harsh, dreary place, and filmmaking is the magic where we are trying to escape to, and we wanted that contrast to be there. And then within a couple of weeks of the idea, John and I were like, "Yeah, let's shoot that shit on film." Yeah, let's shoot it on film. Why not? And really, like the texture of shooting on 16 millimeter just turned out to be perfect for like this is John's idealized, version of the world, but it's also still grainy and distorted in its own way, kind of also reflecting his internal world.
Yeah, and there was a part of us that just wanted to challenge ourselves as filmmakers, as creators, as fans of students of film. It's like 16 millimeters kind of like the testing ground, the holy like the what do they call it? The when you're in the military, I don't know, the base camp or what do they call it? Um
I don't know.
boot camp. Like it's I don't know, it's like the first version of like that part of being a filmmaker. And I feel like every one of my idols started on 16 millimeter film as well. And we were at that point in our journey where we needed to try that stuff out. And I think the black and white actually it ended up being such a great choice for us too because it allowed us to shoot like it allowed us to mask a lot of continuity errors or like if we shot in color or if we shot during the you know not during the day but if we shot at different times I think the black and white just saved us over the course of making the film too and then also just being new to shooting 16 millimeter was like it correlated with the characters and their experience level too so somehow that all mixed together in an interesting way and it worked for me to take one. So yeah.
Great, thanks so much, guys. That was a great answer. Uh, I recently read about how you financed the film yourselves, borrowed locations, relied on friends, and spent nearly 2 years bringing it to life. Knowing that history completely changed the way I watched Meta Take One, were there any moments during production when you honestly believed the film might never get finished? And looking back now, what kept you going?
I think we would have finished this film even if we died making it. Like there was really I think honestly once we got started, once we paid for the very first location, which was the convenience store, it was no going back. It was no going back. Like even when we had to stop and first time we stopped because of an injury. And then that provided us with like, okay, we can raise some money during our time between these moments of, where I do freelance, Ryan does media. And it's like we had to raise our money in between these times. And that, it became a sort of, it was a drag. It was like there's a Greek god that has to carry a burden on his back. So it felt like you were walking with a burden for 2 years, like a financial burden, but it was still like a creative way of escape. But I mean, look, once the journey started, it's like it couldn't have stopped. It just like we would have kept making the film now if it wasn't finished. Like would still be working. You know what I mean? So it literally took me to sneak the film into festivals for us to like actually
behind
finish
my back.
to actually finish it.
Wasn't done
So
yet. But
yeah, yeah, put a little
Right.
battery in our back.
no,
Anyways,
I appreciate that. I would say, hey, the really cold night shoot that John was talking about. So we were paying this guy Jason to use his '68 Bonneville, and we had to have one of the actors drive the car, and I'm in the back seat uh, of the car with the sound guy, and we're crouched down, and we're driving, and the actor like almost got into this crazy accident, and I'm also like breathing in all these gas fumes from the car in the back seat, and I'm like, what did we get ourselves into? This is a fucking mess. Like, are we really going to be able to finish this movie? What a fucking nightmare. But like after that shit was over and we ended up using a lot of those shots. A lot of those shots came out great. There was that core inside that was like, this is going to get done no matter what, for sure. There was definitely moments of like, what are we doing? What do we got ourselves into? But there was always that core, like that foundation to fall back on that was like, this is gonna get made no matter what.
Mhm.
Right. Guys, thank you so much. And with that, we come to the end of my questions. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. I genuinely appreciate it. Uh, I have a feeling that one day you're both going to be very famous filmmakers. And when that happens, I'll probably be showing people this interview and saying, see, I knew them from the very beginning. So thank you
You're coming
so
with us, Denise.
Yeah, you're coming with us, man.
Yeah, and fast
thank you.
forward.
Thank you, guys. It was a real pleasure talking with you. I wish you both nothing but success, and I can't wait to see what makes next.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, for sure, for sure. And really appreciate the review, appreciate the support. Like,
yes,
thank you so much.
sir.
Really appreciate y'all. What
Seriously.
that battle royale with cheese, man. I fuck with it. Thank you, man.
Thank you guys so much.